So ladies, I have another devotion for you here, and I titled this one, The 400 What I Really Wanted to Say But Was Too Stupid Not to Say. Okay, maybe not that long. How about The 400 Further Thoughts? There you go. That's my title. Upon listening to it more and more, I recognized that there were some things that I didn't say as clearly as I should have said, and that there were other things too that I didn't say at all, but I should have said. So this devotion is my feeble attempt to undo some of the damage that I did in my previous devotion. And so with that said, let me just recap a little bit for you here. The original devotion, the 400, was taken more or less from 2 Chronicles chapters 18 and 19. And this is where we read about King Ahab of the northern kingdom of Israel and King Jehoshaphat of the southern kingdom of Judah coming together. And this was a rare occurrence to fight a common foe. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. And as was the custom, the kings consulted what was known then as the 400 prophets. And what the 400 prophets really were, more or less, and I should have said this in my first devotion, was the collective authority, religious authority of the church of their day. So I guess for us, I don't know, for Presbyterians, it would be the General Assembly. For Baptists, it would be the Southern Convention, the Baptist Southern Convention, all of that. And so this cacophony of religious authorities got together, and the question was put to them, should we go to war with this kingdom? And the collective consensus, and it was just overwhelming, 400 people agreeing on this, religious authorities and all of this was, yes, go to war because God will give you the victory. But there was one prophet by the name of Micaiah, and it actually looks like Micah when you read it, but this is not the same prophet. Micaiah, who said, no, don't go to war, because if you do, you'll be destroyed by this army. Even though your forces are united, you're still going to be routed. Well, the kings don't listen to him. Instead, they do what the 400 prophets say, and they go to war, and indeed, they are routed and destroyed. And the point that I made in the original devotion was that just because you have a bunch of religious authorities within the church, the leadership of the church unanimously agreeing on something doesn't necessarily mean that God is in it. And the point that I make here is that as things unravel around us, there is an irresistible desire to give ourselves over to the authority of the church for our comfort, rather than to the authority of Jesus Christ and His Word. And there is an overwhelming desire also to give ourselves over to the collective authority of the church for our guidance rather than Christ and His Word. And there is a difference. And so the point that I make again here is that our ultimate authority is not going to be in pastors, elders, and deacons. Not saying that God can't use those people and doesn't use those people, don't get me wrong, but it should be in Christ and His Word. The other point too that I want to make is this, and I didn't make this in the original devotion, so listen really carefully. If you read 2 Chronicles chapters 18 and 19, what is conspicuous by its absence is that there really isn't any sizable mention of prayer on the part of the kings or even the prophets. Now, I'm not saying these people didn't do that, but it must not have figured enough into the equation, and I think this is telling, to be mentioned by the person who wrote all of this down, by the chronicler. So the point that I make is that often, more than we want to admit, even in the modern evangelical churches of our country, the Metho-Baptist Costal mix along with certain elements of the Roman Catholic Church, when all is said and done, we're not really consulting the Lord. No, see, we would rather consult the religious authorities of our church so that they can do the consulting for us. So we'll pray for these people rather than praying directly to the Lord. And that's telling. And again, I think as things unwind around us, there will not only be an irresistible desire to seek our comfort and authority in the collective authorities of the church, but there will also be an almost irresistible desire among us to leave the praying up to those individuals rather than praying ourselves. So consider these things, ladies. God bless you both.